9/11, the chief of the Portland Fire Bureau was a man named David Campbell. When Chief Campbell lost his life fighting a fire that same year, more than 100,000 people lined the streets of Portland to view his funeral procession.
Years later, a memorial to the chief was created, and in today's show and tell, Tony talks to the man who hopes to preserve and expand that memorial.
My guest today is Don Porth. Don has spent the better part of 40 years in the business of fire prevention, and they're currently the president of the David Campbell Memorial Association. We're here at his memorial right now. It's been more than 100 years since his passing. What kind of man was Chief Campbell?
He was very, very popular and very charismatic in the community. He was a great leader and extremely well thought of.
Well, and I understand that before the firefighting for him began, he was a boxer, and that's kind of what helped him raise his public profile, right?
He was even actually a boxing instructor at the Mac Club for a number of years.
And then, of course, in 1911, that's when he lost his life in line of duty. What do we know about that situation?
It was a big fire. It was a very dangerous fire because there were tanks of fuel, flammables, inside the building there. So he went into the building, called all of the crews out, and before he himself could escape, the building collapsed, fell on him, and took his life.
It's almost amazing to think now about the public reaction to his passing. There was, more than 100,000 people lining the streets of Portland to see his memorial go by. I mean, what does that make you feel like as a career firefighter to see that kind of reverence for someone who was in your line of duty?
Well, a lot of pride, and have a monument like this come together that was actually created by the citizens of Portland, not by the firefighters of Portland.
Right.
I think that just speaks volumes about the man.
The memorial has been here for quite some time, but the plaza itself, there's hope for transformation of this entire area. What's the vision here?
So our new Memorial Plaza is really a place to honor all 77 Portland firefighters that have given their lives to the citizens of Portland, as well as interpret the David Campbell Memorial, so there's something that tells what this is. People walk by with real curiosity about it.
People say that there's nothing you can't accomplish with time and money. Where are we in the process of getting this plaza transformed into a proper firefighter memorial?
Well, we've got the time thing taken care of. So we're still working on the money issue. We actually raised about $460,000 since we began this campaign. We now have a construction budget. We have our design and engineering in progress. And so we're really looking to fill that construction budget and the renovation of the Campbell Memorial here to bring it back to its former glory.
Yeah.
So that sits at about $1.2 million. And so we're in search of funders, donors, the community to help us with that.
Well, I know you and I both got our start around 1984 here in Portland in our respective careers. They've taken different paths for sure, but we appreciate your 40 years of service in fire prevention and really wish you the best of luck with this memorial. It's a beautiful idea, and I hope people really can get behind this and help support the effort.
Well, and I hate to tell you this, but when people put 40 years in context, that's now history. You and I are a part of history.
Well put, Don. Well put.
That's true.
I first met Don. He used to come into Z100 when I worked there and kind of do, public service kind of firefighting stuff. So I've known him sort of off and on through the whole time. But if you're at all curious about this, or if your life has been touched by a firefighter in any way and you want to help contribute, we put a link to their site on our site, kptv.com, and you can find out much, much more about all the details involved in all this. Hopefully you're motivated to help support them.
It's going to be such a beautiful centerpiece when it's revitalized.
And it's right there by Providence Park, 18th and Alder and Burnside, where it all comes together. Funny little triangle.
Yeah, so great.
I get a chance to MC the Portland firefighters as well as the Portland police retirement ceremonies every year. And they joined them together. It used to be just the police officers, and they joined them together. And the guy that organized it said it's kind of like the retirement that the police officers have is piggybacked with the firefighters, because everybody's voting to, yes, give retirement to the firefighters. And they're like, I don't know about that. But they got them right in there. And so it's a great combination. And I'd love to see that partnership.
It was a really great piece.
And this is what a retired Portland police officer looks like. And a retired firefighter.
Don's going to be happy to hear that.
It's a common joke, theme that we have through there, but we just appreciate all of those people for all their service. Let's go.